of the plane. And I think all students been attending. Are there any new students today? Just I'll go back to the topic. So you came to know how you study the CC. So I'll just briefly take you in 2 minutes. First, you determine the jurisdiction under Section 9, which tells what are the civil matters, what are the matters which have been expressly or impliedly barred. Okay. Then immediately you come to know the provisions of Section 15, which tells that civil suit must be filed in court of lowest grade having jurisdiction. Okay. Then Section 16 tells you the suit must be filed in court where the property, immovable property is situated. This you may call it here territorial jurisdiction of the court. Okay, territorial. Section 15 and 16 deal with a proposition called territorial jurisdiction. Then section 17, 18, 19, they deal with a proposition where the 17, 18, where the court is having doubts with regard to two courts having jurisdiction, you seek a declaration. This is also falling within the ambit of territorial jurisdiction. Then the proposition of section 19, 20 deal with a case where the cause of action accrued or the defendant residing. This you may call it again territorial jurisdiction that the defendant resides. Huh? Then I'm sorry, 15 deal, all deal with a proposal called pecuniary jurisdiction. Huh? You determine the final example of a pecuniary jurisdiction is under section 15, because 15 tells you you must go to the lowest court having jurisdiction. In the city of Mumbai, lowest court is the court of small causes court under the Residential Small Cause Court Act. Then the city's court under the City Civil Act. Then the Bombay High Court, a district court within the meaning of section 2(4) of the CPC and clause 12 of the latest patent. And in the state of Maharashtra, these are the civil judges, junior division, senior division, and the district court hierarchy mein, where under the Maharashtra Civil Act. So this they are called the courts having territorial jurisdiction. Okay. Then sometime you are in a not position to decide the matter which court has jurisdiction on the subject matter of the whether on the payment of the fees. You cannot decide how much the court fees payable. For example, injunction suit for a simpliciter injunction, and you cannot. It is not capable of monetary evaluation of the Bombay court fee. For this purpose, you have to see section 6(4)(j), which tells you that in the event where the court is in not a position to determine the monetary evaluation, that is called the subject matter of the suit on the basis of the valuation. That is how this is. So after determination of court, then I told you that the role of the provisions of section 26 and order 4 rule 1 is into play, namely the civil law is set into motion by the presentation of a document called plain, PLA plain, in a competent court. Then the requirement of plains are enumerated under the provisions of Order 7 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Order 7 should be read along with pleading under Order 6. So you dealt under the provision of Order 7, first name of the court, name of the parties, namely plaintiff and defendant, where do they reside, their designations in the event of the plaintiff defendant being a minor, company, lunatic person, description to be given. Then the third requirement is that you must give a cause of action. Cause of action must be brought to the plaintiff. Unless there is a cause of action, the plaintiff is liable to reject it. Okay, these are the requirements. Then you have to give a clause with regard to jurisdiction. Whether the court has jurisdiction or not is also important to mention. Then we dealt with the other developments, other requirements, such as you bring before the court of law the where the subject matter suit is situated. In a money suit, what are the requirements? Then when the plaintiffs required to sue in a representative capacity, which provision is dealt under Order 8 Rule 1, Order 1 Rule 8 CPs. I mentioned to you that in this scenario you had to obtain the leave of the court order in Rule 1, where there are several parties on behalf of the plaintiff is representing in matter, with a view to see to it that several cases are not filed when one litigant can resolve the problem. Okay. Then we learned that clause number 6, grounds of exemption of limitation law must be mentioned. So the plaintiff also contains clause with regard to whether the suit is barred by limitation or not. That must be mentioned, because the provisions of Limitation Act 1963 tell you within what period of time suit must be filed. Okay, so those articles find from in the Limitation Act. For example, the starting point suit for account, suit for contract, suit for damages, they are normally filed in 3 years from the date of the cause of action. Okay, and suit for immutable property recovery normally filed within a period of 2 years under Article 6067. Then suit for declaration and specific performance are filed in 3 years from the date of the cause of action. So like that, you will have to remember it. Sometime your suit may be barred by law of limitation at the time of the filing of the suit. So when the suit is totally barred by the limitation, now that provisions you will find in the Limitation Act, provisions of section 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 till 24.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. So
now, for example, you had a suit in a wrong court.
So sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
if you want any
this
assistance
is just,
in terms of sharing of the screen, you may let me know.
Yeah, I will let you know. So this topic we already dealt with, need not share screen. So the under the Limitation, these are the provisions here. If by virtue of insanity the plaintiff could file the suit, there is a provision and provision of the limitation. But they must be brought in the plaintiff file the suit. He has to attain the majority. Cause of action accrues after he attains majority. A plaintiff was suffered from insanity. If he suffers from insanity, actually he could not have filed suit. Then it must find a place in the plaintiff with regard to. Then you may say that here the plaintiff was abroad. During his stay abroad, while studying, the defendant made forged documents. Defendant was a good friend, or maybe brother, sister, whatever may be. And he has resorted to fraud, fabricated my signature, and made fraudulent documents and sold my property. So you are prosecuting studies, or you may be out of India by reason of exigencies of your employment. After 15, 20 years, you come down to India to find that the name of the property has changed. The lock has been changed. Now, when a fraud has been committed upon you, where you seek a declaration that the fraud has been committed. So normally for declaration under Article 58 of the Limitation Act, the suit is required to be filed within 3 years. So 3 years you could not have filed because you were abroad, you were prosecuting studies. So when you came down to India, you came to know first time. So section 7 of the Limitation Act provides it here from the time of discovery of the fraud. Okay, please note that. Then the limitation starts. So your averment must contain a plain. The plaintiff has discovered the fraud recently when he came down to India, and the defendant has fabricated his signature and sold the property without his knowledge and consent, and the agreement of sale executed by the defendant number 1 and 2 dealing with the plaintiff sham, colorable, bogus, camouflage, they should be set aside. Okay, that should be the requirement. Then the order 7 also told you that you must require put in your prayer before in the plaintiff. In various, there are various prayers discussed last time. A declaration is a different form, and possession is a different form, injunction is a different form. In a prayer, in a civil suit, the first prayer always you find a declaration, decree must be mentioned. For example, if you are seeking possession from your trespasser or your tenant, how do you phrase it? That this honorable court be pleased to grant order and decree the defendant. Order and decree the defendant to quit, vacate, hand over, quite vacant, unpeaceful possession of the premises to the plaintiff. So use the word. Now, in a case like declaration, that this honorable court be to order and decree and declare that the agreement executed between defendant number 1 and 2 is sham, terrible, bogus, and the same is set aside. So use the word decree in a prayer in the first prayer. Even when you are a being prophet, your prayer should be that this honorable court be to order and decree the mean profits. So don't use the word decree because it's the final adjudication. Normally, even if you don't mention the procedures, CPC, yes, procedural law, what the court will do that? Court will assume that what you ought in a prayer is a decree. So it will be, court will couch the relief in such a manner for obtaining complete relief in that and not to worry in that, but better your pleading should correct. Okay, then now we come to last time we dealt till the order 7 rule 11 we were dealing rejection of a plaint. When your plaint does not disclose cause of action, which is one of the fundamental requirements, at the very threshold without recording evidence upon the application of the defendant or the court suo motu has power to reject your plaint under order 711. Number 1, and if the court fee is not properly paid, the Bombay Courts Act 1959, your plaint can be rejected. In that event, the court may give an opportunity. You are not paid the court fee. You are filing yes in the Bombay High Court, and whereas you are paying court fees, the basis that the property is below 1 crore, so we'll reject plaint. Correctly evaluate the plaint. So valuation correct should be done in the matter. If the valuation is not done, the court say reject your plaint or return it. So then next. Then thirdly, one of the grounds the plaint can be rejected is when from the read of the averment of the plaint is hopelessly barred by the law of limitation. So this is a very dangerous power which has been given to the court at the very threshold for dismissing your plaint, rejecting your plaint from the beginning. But now the fortunately Supreme Court in many judgments says that rejection of the plaint on the basis of the limit, on the ground of limitation, should not be easily resorted to unless the court finds that it is hopelessly barred. Otherwise, it's a question of law and fact. Issue must be framed under order 14. Parties must be given an opportunity to lead evidence. Then ultimately, after leading evidence, it must be tried as a final issue and not at interlocutory stage. Many rulings. But at the same time, the court has power. In election matters, any of the representation of people's plaints are rejected for non-compliance. If you straight away file a, for example, declaration of 25 years without extending the delay, that will say the plaint should be rejected. So your plaint should be correctly drafted in the matter. Now, then we learned here, order 12 के हिसाब से 712 procedure upon rejection of the court will return. Then the law says that once the plaint is rejected, you are not precluded from filing a plaint on the same cause of action limitation. Okay, rectify. You earlier had no cause of action. You had not disclosed before the court when was the agreement of sale entered into. When did the defendant occupy your premises? The period is not given. Particulars are not given. When you're a landlord, you have filed a suit properly disclosing your particular bona fide requirement. Particulars are sublet when it took place. So opportunity will be given to you. If you don't have the opportunity, it will be rejected. But it doesn't mean that subsequently you cannot sue. It is like the police officer always, when the complaint is rejected by the magistrate or held to be suffering from double jeopardy, if fresh evidence is available to the prosecution, they can again prosecute. So similarly in the civil cases, when you gather the cause of action, bundle of fact. When you mention correctly before the court, direct limitation period. And when you pay correct court fees and provided you have approached court within the limitation period, then your plaint will be, your second suit can be filed. Okay. Now, Order 7, Rule 14 deals with a proposal protection of document which the plaintiff sues and relies upon. This is very important, amendment. Now it is now mandatory from the very beginning that the plaintiff must disclose in plain all documents which he proposes to rely upon and which ultimately seeks to lead evidence. Now this provision is made with a view to see the defendant is not taken by surprise. Because civil proceedings are based upon preponderance of possibilities, unlike the criminal prosecution, where strict liability, the prosecution must prove beyond reasonable doubt. So it is not the question of civil proceeding you prove beyond reasonable doubt. Preponderance of possibility in the court can draw inferences, adverse inferences. You not produce A document, B document, because that might go against you. So the court will draw inference against you. You are deliberately avoiding to produce it, and hence you will not be entitled to a particular order. So you must pay attention to the provisions of Order 7, Rule 14, which mandates that the plaintiff must disclose in the plain, must exhibit all the documents, and you are required to prepare a list of documents on which plaintiff rely upon. The only document which you need not rely upon is a document which you seek to cross-examine the defendant other side and take him by surprise subsequently under section 145 of the Indian Evidence, namely for contradiction purpose. If it is a letter written by the defendant to you admitting certain things in favor, you need not disclose it. That is the only exception given. Similarly, same liberty is given to the defendant while filing written statement under Order 8, Rule 1A. He must disclose all documents. And only a document where he intends to cross-examine the plaintiff that can be hidden press at the time, but at the same time, under provisions of Order 13 of the Code of Civil Procedure, now Rule 1 mandates that at the first hearing of the suit. A first hearing of the suit means the day on which issues are framed. Please note that. CPC has not explained to what is the meaning of the first hearing, and this proposition has clarified in various Supreme Court judgments. The first date of hearing means the day on which issues are settled under the provisions of Order 13. So Order 13 में आप देखेंगे, it says the plaintiff, the parties must file their original document. Please note that you use the word original document at the date on or before the settlement of the issues. In the Bombay High Court, the rules clearly say that no sooner the writ statement is filed, both the parties must file their original document, and the affidavit document under Order 11, Rule 13 deals with the affidavit document. It's mandatory. Under the also Evidence Act, also it is mandatory. You will learn what is a primary evidence and secondary evidence. Section 62 of the Indian Evidence Act deals with the primary evidence. Section 64 tells you how the primary evidence be proved before the court of law.
Excuse me,
so
sir.
The foundation is laid down in the plaint itself under Order 7, Rule 14, where you are enjoined with a duty as a plaintiff to disclose all the documents in your plaint so that the defendant is not taken by surprise. The document which you not disclose.
Excuse me, sir.
What happened?
Sir, actually, there is one problem happened. my mistake actually. Mansi wanted to
जी,
share
बोलिए।
your screen, but Mansi Bombadi,
हम्म,
Mansi Bombadi,
Ma'am, I have
Mansi,
messaged.
yeah,
I have
Mansi?
messaged her also, Mansi Bombadi, but she is not replying to my message, and I am waiting for her
What
to.
is the question she has raised?
Mansi Bombadi, Mansi, please reply.
I only know Mansi Bhushan, not Mansi Bhatti.
Sir, actually what happened, there are two Mansis, and Mansi Bhushan madam wanted to share the screen, and I thought there is only one Mansi, and that is she, and I made Mansi Bombadi as a host. So now ma'am can't
You
share
can
your
share the screen, no objection.
screen,
और even
and
routine दीजिए.
moreover,
Huh?
and this Bombadi, she is not allowing student to admit.
Who?
Bombadi.
Who not allowing? No,
Ojas,
ask her,
Ojas.
request her to do that.
Yes,
Please.
ma'am.
Everybody be admitted.
मानसी बोंबाडीला फोन करून सांग की
Please,
एक
all
तर मला
students
होस्ट
should be
कर
admitted. Nobody should be
मला
denied
तिचा
the
नंबर नाही माहिती.
opportunity. Please.
तुमच्या क्लासमध्ये नाही आहे
नाही म्हणजे मी कधी नाव नाही ऐकलं तिचं.
ती ऐक
मॅडम तिला मेसेज केला पण ती रिप्लाय नाही देत आहे.
ती म्यूट अनम्यूट करते आहे स्वतःला पण रिप्लाय करत
हा.
नाहीये
How is she having the power to do that?
Sir, actually what happened, by mistake her name was clicked as a host.
And we can
No,
restart.
you delete her.
Yes, we can restart.